Hello, my name is Chuks. I'm a COVID survivor. I was treating malaria, in quotes. I treated my first malaria, and after a while, so a couple of weeks after that, I was hit by another so-called malaria. I was having fever. I was having severe fever, and I was having muscle pain, my legs, my laps. It was quite unusual. And I went back to the hospital, and they tested ran a test, and they claimed they saw some malaria parasites, So the irony is that I was one of the people that I was really afraid of this COVID. I was one of the people that actually advocated for carefulness. I was one of the people that was campaigning about the severity of this COVID. For some reason, when I went to the hospital, I just to fulfill all righteousness, I decided to do the test while I was in the hospital that I was diagnosed for malaria. I tested for the COVID, and surprisingly and embarrassingly, I tested positive for the COVID. And that the very moment that I tested positive to it, the hospital had to send me away. I was asked to go to an isolation center, and I had this phobia for those isolation centers. So I had two options. So I just go to the isolation center, or just go home and isolate myself and take all the medicine. It wasn't a pleasant experience, to be honest. I heard about the symptoms of the COVID, and I always told my friends, I used to joke about it, and I told my friends that, do you know that we might have gotten this COVID? We might have tested positive to this COVID one way or the other, but we didn't know because we are asymptomatic. But this time around, I was symptomatic. And when I sleep, I'll be having some kind of hallucinations. I was having severe fever that I couldn't explain. Most times it's either I'm extremely cold or extremely hot at the same time. It was a confusing state of mind. It's not an experience anybody would want to have. At another point, it got to a point that I couldn't smell anything. Like, I would practically take my perfume, and I spray it. Like, I'll spray it in my nose and go close. I couldn't perceive. In fact, I got to a point, I was like, no, this is not COVID. No, this thing I hear about cannot be happening. I had to spray it here. I'm not kidding. I had to spray it on my mustache just to make sure that it gets through my nostril. When I sprayed it, my brother, I couldn't perceive anything. So we will not really get the fact that COVID is real, but we shouldn't be. So I know we shouldn't be too afraid of it, like to the extent that you harm yourself trying to be afraid of it. But it is real, and you have to actually protect yourself. Be careful. One of the easiest ways to protect yourself is to always wear a mask and to move around with sanitizer. It helps. And wash your hand regularly. Avoid a crowded place. And if you're talking to somebody that you suspect might be having COVID, just distance yourself. I'm not saying that you should be suspecting it, but just play your part, please. Cover yourself, cover your nose, wear masks, a good mask. Protect yourself. COVID is real. Once again, my name is Chuksy, and I'm a COVID survivor.